My name's Matt Krennick. I'm a project manager with Skanska. We're currently building the West Thames Street pedestrian bridge. It is kind of the last step of the rebuilding of Lower Manhattan for after 9/11. So there were a bunch of bridges that were in place between Battery Park City and the financial district that were destroyed during the September 11th attacks. And there were some temporary structures that were put back up, and this is the permanent structure that is there to replace what has been damaged and kind of close the loop for the residents. Right now they're crossing at grade across the West Side Highway, which is 8 lanes of traffic, and then they also have to cross the exit of the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which is another 8 lanes of traffic, in order to get to the closest subway stop. So this will allow them a safe passage up over the road, and there's also a lot of kids that walk to school every day in this same route, which is really why this location was taken or chosen, and we hope to be able to satisfy the community when this is said and done. I butchered that.
No, you're fine. Your actual was great. So a lot of when you're talking is going to be covered by the shots that we're getting, but try to not move quite so much more.
Gotcha.
You move around a lot when you talk. You can move your hands if you normally speak. Just try to plant your feet because the cameras will come.
I can do that again if you want.
I actually think it was good. Tell me a little bit more about it technically. So the design, the structure. Tell me kind of how the components are going to come together.
So the bridge that was designed it's a lenticular truss, which is a lightweight design, and that was chosen because the concern of disrupting the community. Now, when I say disrupting the community, obviously you can't just build a bridge overnight. So the intent was to build something that was strong enough, beautiful, and lightweight that could be done off-site, so that the community wouldn't have to deal with nightly noise, construction, and that's what the Thornton Tomasetti, the engineer of record, has designed. So there are 2 trusses that are the main support for the bridge. One is going to be 130 feet long, and the other one is 90 feet long. There's 3 piers, one on the west side, one on the center median, and one on the east side of the West Side Highway. The intent is that this bridge will be actually fully built and assembled off-site, delivered to a barge in New Jersey, and then floated across the Hudson River to the end of the West Thames Street. At that point in time, we'll bring in a barge crane, and we'll pick it up over some large, live, mature trees in between 2 apartment buildings, walk it down the street, and then close down the West Side Highway for a weekend to set this in place. That was deemed to be the less disruptive approach to the local residents, and has been received very well. So if we tried to build this bridge on site, we would probably have steel crews parked on the side of the road taking up parking spots for upwards of 6 months. So parking in New York City is a premium, and you're talking about upwards of probably 20 or 30 parking spots, which you can't even find a spot now if you drive around for an hour half the time. And you'd have banging with hammers and drilling. We did that enough with the site work, and we obviously thought that this was the best approach.
Okay, talk about building in this wide open green space here. What kind of challenges do you have on a tight site like this? Just describe it for a national audience. Most people know this because it is near the World Trade Center and they know what downtown Manhattan's like, but just paint a little picture for us of what this is like as a construction site, all the things you have going on underground that you were telling me across the street that presented some challenges.
So some of the main challenges working down in Lower Manhattan is there's absolutely no room to move. We were able to get a decent amount of laydown space, but that does not compensate for all of the traffic. You've got thousands of cars driving by here every day in every direction, and we had to do a traffic and a pedestrian count. You have over 150 people walking by every 15 minutes. Because we're building a bridge that goes across the road and the road stays open, you have multiple different sites with material moving, personnel moving, equipment moving. So having a traffic plan and a safety plan in place and executed every day with pedestrian managers, flagmen, was critical. Beyond that, we also had the obstructions that were underground. After September 11th, there were a lot of utilities that were destroyed. So on the east side of the site, we found abandoned water mains that the water department didn't know existed. They didn't have it on any prints because they were destroyed in 9/11 and they thought that they were incinerated. We have a tunnel that runs between two of our piers, the east side pier and the center median pier. That tunnel serves the entrance to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. So we had to drive 50-foot deep piles in between, or around that tunnel, I should say, without damaging it. So we had seismic monitoring, vibration monitoring running all around the clock. And when we got over to the west side, where we're standing right now, is actually where Manhattan used to end. So Battery Park City was created with the fill that was excavated for the original World Trade Center back in the 1960s and 70s. So Lower Manhattan was actually extended to the west. So when we dug here to build our foundations, we actually dug into the existing seawall that ended Lower Manhattan. So that was massive structures, and that took days and weeks to remove, and now we actually have to build a monument here to commemorate that this is where Manhattan actually ended. So it's just another thing that has to be dealt with on a daily occurrence here in Lower Manhattan.
Sorry, go ahead.
One of the actually most challenging things, which I was not prepared for, was realigning the traffic signals. If you look around this intersection where the tunnel exits, there's upwards of 12 different traffic signals that are all tied to the same system. Every single one of those had to move to make room for the bridge, but we couldn't take down the traffic signals while this occurred. So we had all kinds of temporary wires, temporary signals put up, and it was a major plan and a massive undertaking just to get that done and keep all the pedestrians and also the bike traffic safe.
Okay. I think the monument thing is kind of cool. We redo just that piece. You don't have to do all the stuff around it, but so one of the things, because you said one of the things that we have to do is put this monument up when we're done, and it's just one
Make it a
more
little
thing we have to deal
sexier?
with. Yeah, like that. It's kind of cool, right? So actually, one of the things we're going to do is, at the end of this, is have a little monument to mark that this was the original edge of Manhattan. That's like a positive instead of like one more thing on my list.
Got it.
Matt, how do you just step like 6 and see without the
Good.
Yeah, sounds okay.
So one of the cool things that we're going to do at the end of the project as part of the site restoration is we're going to put in a plaque so that everyone knows as they're walking by to the bridge that this is where Lower Manhattan used to end, to commemorate the seawall that was removed. So right now, no one knows that they're walking through a piece of history.
Very good. Okay, tell me a little bit about what it's going to look like and feel like, so not from a technical construction perspective, but from a New Yorker walking by, what's it going to look like? Paint a little color for me there. We'll be showing the pictures of the renderings over this part of your description. So how's it going to look and feel that it's, covered, open air on the side, modern design? If you want to tell me about how it will look.
So at the end of the day, the design I kind of think it mimics some of the Oculus, which we built a few years back as part of the World Trade Center construction. So we have these wings on the roof that kind of fly out of the center spine, similar to, again, the World Trade Center path hole and the Oculus. Those will be covered in a custom glass with a custom frit pattern that will be dark in the center and then allow light to diffuse as you work your way out to the end, so that people are not feeling claustrophobic as they're walking through. There'll be all kinds of up lights to light that glass and then down lights on the side. The sides will be open with a stainless steel mesh to prevent people from throwing things at cars below, but also to prevent people from falling through. There'll be stairs on either side, along with 2 full-service hydraulic elevators, which again are all glass so that you can see the views of Lower Manhattan as you're riding up, and also provide convenience for the families and the strollers and the handicapped people that may need to utilize the bridge rather than crossing at grade. One of the really unique features that I think is the stairs will all be heated. There's a large heat trace system that'll be buried inside the stairs and the floors, so that they never get icy or snow covered during the winter months, so that there's no hazard for tripping or falling. And the last thing that I think is very cool is the glass patterns and also the custom cladding that we'll have. So the architect has designed a really durable stainless steel cladding system that will hopefully prevent graffiti or any destruction, and that will hold up for the lifespan of the bridge, which is many, many decades to come.
That's good.
Alright. You okay in the sun? It's moving quick. Is the sun okay on your face?
14 years.
Here a long time. Okay, just explain how this fits in. I think you said a little bit about it before, but as kind of like the rebuilding of Lower Manhattan after 9/11, and this is one of the one of the last pieces of that. I think things are always being built, right? But in terms of like replacing what was, is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, give me that.
So the West Ames pedestrian bridge is really the last piece of infrastructure that remains for the rebuilding after the September 11 attacks. This process has been planned out for many years, and because we're in such a tight, congested area, there's a lot of different political entities that had to weigh in on this. I'm currently standing on land that's owned by state DOT, but is leased by the Battery Park City Authority. If I walk 40 feet that way, I'm on the Small Business Services land. If I walk to the center median over there, I'm on city DOT land. So all these different political entities needed to get together and get all kinds of approvals to make this happen, which is why it's taken so long. But it really is the culmination of, we're at now 16 or 17 years of rebuilding and revitalizing, and the amount of new construction and great things that are happening down here, and the influx of people is just outstanding.
So, who is you're obviously in the middle of the community here, very much active in the community, with bikes and cars around you. Who is the interface to the community for this project? It's us, right? Like, that's a point that Mike wanted to make, was that, the city has asked Skanska to be the face of this project. So, tell me about that. Who is the face of the project to the public, and what does that entail for you?
So Skanska is working for New York City Economic Development Corporation, and part of our pledge on this project, again, to minimize the disruption to the community, but is also to be transparent. So I regularly attend the local community board meetings and meet with the elected officials to give them updates on the project, go through future logistics phases, how it may disrupt their daily lives, and try and give them a heads up. It's been very well received. We've been doing that on every other month or sometimes every month basis, depending on how the logistics change. We've also met with the Manhattan Borough President multiple times. The mayor's office is involved, and I've been able to keep a good rapport and also keep things moving, and we haven't really had any opposition. There's been many residents that maybe we've gotten a complaint here and there, and we try and deal with it within a matter of hours, and then that really paints a good picture of Skanska in the community's eyes, and also the local residents and building owners around here. We've just tried to stay on top and be upfront with what's going to happen, so that there's no surprises and no complaints.
Where are we now? What state of construction are we at? What if we clean it, and then we'll do what's next?
So currently we've pretty much finished all of the site work. So we've had to redo the pavers, do all the utilities underneath. We've built our main supports, our foundations, and we've completed the steel fabrication of the 3 supporting piers, Pier 1, 2, and 3, our east and west elevator tower, and we've roughed in all of our mechanicals, our electricals, and all of our elevator components. We're currently setting glass on the east elevator tower, and we will be finishing up the elevator cab once that's complete.
What's next?
We have been and will continue to be working on the critical path of the job, which is the steel fabrication. Because it is a very complex structure, this lenticular truss, and with all the architectural features, it's taken some time and a lot of planning and design changes, but that continues to happen, again, off-site in our fabrication shop in Pennsylvania, and we look to finish that by the end of this year.
And tell me about the journey. Started from Pennsylvania, I think, before you kind of just move past the first part, since it's built off-site, and it'll come here, we'll walk it down the detail about what happens once it arrives here. But give me the detail on what happens from when those first steps are done in Pennsylvania, where does it go next? Walk me through the planes, trains, and automobiles.
So our steel components are rather complex, and there's been 3 different fabrication shops between Pennsylvania and upstate New York that have put a hand into building this structure. They all need to get obviously put together in one spot. So that place is going to be southeastern Pennsylvania at the steel fabrication facility. It'll get final painted there, which is a special steel coating system, which is under strict inspection. And once that is done, we're going to pick the largest pieces that we can and put them on trucks. Because the bridge is large, we are looking to ship superloads. Superload is anything that is wider than 16 feet or taller than 16 feet. And they require immense amount of permits. They apparently only issue 5 of these permits per day in each state. So the scheduling and logistics to make sure that we get it here when we need it is a whole lot of planning that's starting now, even though we're months away. So once these superloads are trucked to the barge, which will be in Newark, New Jersey, there'll be a crane waiting for each truck, and those pieces will be picked off of the truck and placed on the barge, and then an erection crew will be sitting there waiting to assemble them. Once those pieces are put together and the bridge is substantially assembled, we have architectural, electrical, and plumbing trades that will then go on the barge and spend approximately 2 months putting on the electrical conduit to feed the lights, to feed the heat trace, the stainless steel mesh so people don't fall off the sides, and then the glass panels to keep people dry. All of that will be happening off-site so that, again, we minimize the disruption to the community. Once that's done, this barge will then float across the Hudson River the beginning of a week. We'll have a 500-ton barge crane, which is the largest on the East Coast, and that will then pick this bridge up over mature trees and set it in the cul-de-sac at the end of West Thames. It will sit there for approximately a week, and then on Friday night, we will bring a 600-ton hydraulic crane in to the corner of West Thames and West Street right behind me, and we will shut down the West Side Highway for Friday night, and then again Saturday night to set these 2 fully assembled spans in place.
Okay. The Jersey work, just for my reference, is right across Jersey.
So it's going to be in New Jersey to set the steel components, and then it's going to go to Brooklyn for the architectural fit-outs to Red Hook, which I don't know exactly where that is, so I don't expect you guys to know.